Donald Sterling is in hot water with the NBA and Americans across the country who think he's a racist. I'm Stephen A. King. This is Legalese TV. I'm here today with two of Los Angeles' top-notch litigators, Austin Dove, Christopher Smith. Thanks a lot for being here with me, guys.
Thanks for having us.
All right.
Thank you.
Now, gentlemen, let's break this up into a couple different categories here. You know, on the moral and character grounds, I mean, the guy's in his home, he's talking to his girlfriend. Now, who's to expect that he's going to be recorded, right? I mean, did he really say anything that foul? Did he break any laws, Chris?
Well, technically he didn't break any laws, but what he said was nothing less than jaw-dropping. I mean, when you hear someone of Donald Sterling's stature, you know, he's an NBA owner, he owns, you know, real estate up and down Wilshire Corridor. You know, he's the boss to many, but to hear your boss make comments like that based on some sort of racial undertones is just nothing less than disturbing.
So, some people feel as if he acted like he owned his teammates. He owned the black players. It was like he owned, almost like him owning a stock or chattel or a car or something. Did you get that out of that, Austin?
Well, I got that out of that. Plus the fact that that seems to have been his attitude the entire time he's been involved in owning properties and owning the NBA. He's the owner of a franchise that has 90% black employees. Yet his personal views seem to suggest that he wouldn't want anything to do with them on a personal or intimate level. He's dating a person who happens to be biracial, African American and Mexican. At the same time, he's saying, I dislike the parts of you that are black or that associate with other blacks. He's a highly conflicted individual who probably looks at black people as something other than full people.
Well, he looks at things in cultures, right? He kind of zones and boxes things out. You know, it's kind of like it doesn't even really affect him what he's saying.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Stephen, because if you listen to the recordings, he talks about, well, it's the culture. It's not me. I'm not the one who has these views necessarily, but we live in a culture where, hey, you know, maybe white folks or Jewish folks look at black folks as lesser individuals. Or he's saying our society in general looks at minorities as being less. So, hey, moving forward, you have to conform to the culture. And that's all I'm doing. That's what Don Sterling, I think, is saying.
I mean, he's at his house. Can he have his views? You know, it's just like, you know, are you going to drink light beer? Or are you going to drink, you know, Heineken or Stella or whatever? I mean, can he have his views?
The short answer is no, not really. Not when you're in that position. When you get to be the President of the United States, a member of Congress, a large business owner, you know, an international, you know, oligarch, you've got to be careful what you say wherever you say it. And if you harbor those views, when many people we know they have them, expressing them in a public setting, whether it's with one person at a bar or with many people in front of a camera, is a dangerous thing to do. You're going to lose.
Christopher, what about the NBA players and the voice that they have in all this?
Well, I mean, certainly they have power. I mean, I was very, very pleased at some of the comments from the, you know, current players and former players like LeBron James came out very strong. Magic Johnson, Kevin Johnson. It was a very proud moment that I felt because they came out in full force and said that this is absolutely 100% unacceptable. And if I was a player on that team, it's like, how do you play? That your boss thinks less of you. Right. How do you go out there and give your best when you know that the man at the top has a problem with you, not because of your talents, but because of the color of your skin? It's just problematic.
Right. Austin?
Well, they have a lot, but not as much as they may think they have. Ultimately, they're still employees. And if they don't show up to work, they don't get paid. If they don't show up to work, they can be deemed to be in breach of contract. Of course, we know the product is LeBron James. The product is Carmelo Anthony. The product are those wonderful players that excite us so much by watching them do extraordinary things. But they have limitations as well. And if they try to pull out and say we're not going to play, there's repercussions on their side too. They can be held in breach of contract by both the league and the organizations that they work for.
So, I mean, were they just bluffing, or I mean, is this something they were really going to do? Were they going to boycott? What do you think?
Well, I think at the same time that these players, they're millionaires. You know, they have means, they have wealth, and they have influence. And I think if push came to shove, I think if Silver didn't do what he did, I think we would have saw some sort of boycott potentially, or some sort of protest and some sort of greater form than we saw, I think, in that Clipper game when I think they took off their jerseys and dropped them on the center floor. But I just think that the public was behind them. They had this support system that would have allowed them to take a greater stand against, any kind of racism.
It looks like all his players are his property too, right? He keeps them fed, he puts money in their pocket.
If you listen to the recordings, he says, I buy them houses, I buy them cars. And clearly, as Austin's pointed out, I think his view of the players are like chattel. They're his property, and there's even some stories going around that I think on occasion he would take his female companions into the locker room while the guys were showering and say, look at my great young bucks here. Just kind of outrageous conduct by him.
So what's the moral of the story, guys? I mean, what's the tagline here?
Well, I think, for Sterling is watch what you say and when you say it.
Right. Austin?
Don't say stupid stuff.
Well, I mean, is there a law that you can break for being stupid? I mean...
No.
Okay.
But there's going to be consequences when you say it.
Right.
And we all know that.
Right.
So, and the higher up you get in the food chain, the more problematic stupidity becomes.
Right. Well, there you have it, folks. We got it all covered. We got wealth, we got race, we got money, we got sex, we got black bodies in the locker room. Is somebody getting secretly recorded by his girlfriend? Man, it's getting hot. Keep it tuned on Hot Topics Legalese TV. That's how we do it.